Hello everybody, my name is Avery, and I wanted to show off this project it wasn't a long project, but something I just quickly put together. I've never done it before, so I decided I want to learn a little bit about it, and that is making a web server with Go. If you guys aren't familiar with Go, Go is a programming language. It's developed by Google, I believe. At least it was created by Google originally, and the language is actually somewhat, it's a lot of it's designed for web hosting and things like that, from what I can understand. So there's actually a lot of built-in packages that do a lot of this stuff for you. So it's nothing super complex. It's pretty easy. I might have even programmed out some of this stuff that maybe there's even built-in libraries that do some of the stuff for you that I just wasn't sure about. But we're going to go ahead and jump in the code. I'll have this code hosted on GitHub. Go ahead and check in the description if you guys want to do it yourself. But I created a project. If you guys want to follow along and do the coding yourself as well, if you make a project and Go, it's just Go mod init, and then my project's called main, just like that, and it'll create this Go mod file. I don't know if it creates any other files. I thought it did, but yeah, I guess that's it. And then in our main, we import some of these packages. The main package for the web hosting or the web serving is the net/http package. But I also use some of these other packages, the string package and the path package for altering some of the file names and putting file names together, just some stuff like that. So here is our main function. I think by default, if you're not using a port, I assume it's using 8080. I think that's the default port for web hosting. But I already have an Nginx server running. And I was actually testing this on my personal computer at first. This terminal right here is my server, but on my laptop, I was testing it at first, and on my laptop, I use port 8081 for Garrett, for work stuff, so I use using the second port, 82, just for testing this. So I guess to explain, I'll just go through and I'll explain my process of some stuff that I did. I needed to get basically what I was going to host it on. I was hosting on localhost, as I had mentioned first. I ran on my computer. I don't need to do any localhost. I mean, I don't even know how I can look at that exactly in a website. I guess I could, but so I have the localhost and then the ports, and then I also did a get local IPv4, and I just found this function online. So at least for the most part, I found it online. So I'm not going to explain all of it, but basically this just gets your IP version 4 address. But I actually figured out down here when you actually serve it, if you don't give it an address, it's going to serve it to your local host and your personal addresses, your local addresses or whatnot. So I actually didn't need to figure out what the address was. And that's the same reason I was actually using Go processes, or I guess the multi-threading or whatever it's called. I was actually having it serve on both the local and the actual IP address, and I realized I didn't even need to do that. So then I created this function called serve. I also created one called serve SSL, which can serve the web server, serves it over HTTPS, and the other function is serves it over HTTP. And so the HTTPS, it works. I actually haven't completely tested it because I just didn't bother to register an SSL certificate with any sort of thing, even though I guess it's pretty easy to do. I didn't get about it. And then this, I guess this probably could be commented out. I don't think I even use this, but I had originally had the root, and the root was in this directory, so I just have some 2 pages to look at. One's in HTML, and the other one, I believe, just has, it just says hello in it. But yeah, so the serving is called by this function. We'll look at in a second. But you actually have this handle function, and you give it what it wants to be looking at, and you give it a handler. And this handler is a function as well. So we can come down and look at this. So the serve SSL, the only difference right here is this TLS. And you can give it your certificates as well. But here, the URL string, I pass that in, and it just prints out starting a server on this URL, and it does listen and serve. So this is just the Go command that just does it automatically. And then I just check for any sort of error. And now we're going to look at our actual handling, which handles what you were looking at and whatnot. So the handler, that's the name of the function. We jump down here, and here's our handler function. takes in this response writer and the request. So the request is the actual information about what they're looking at, what page they want to look at, and things like that. So we have the request, it's called R, we get the URL string, and that's basically just what page they're looking at. So I just have it print that out, and then I also, so maybe this is something that could be done better in Go, but I just get rid of any sort of semicolon and stuff like that. And I also get rid of the port number, so I can just get the name of the actual file. I also just drop the www because at the moment I don't care if my site has that or not. The requested host, so I print out the host. So I guess the r.host is the host name, and the r URL is the file or the URL that you're looking at. And then I load a configuration file. It's passing it the host ID. So the load in the configuration file, it just looks at this sites directory and it checks if there's a configuration file with the same name. And if there is one, let's just cat this one. So if I go to this website, it says, that's the root. Let me check out that. And if there's not one, it will just go ahead and look at the default configuration file, and then it'll just check this one, which was this original root that we had looked at, that I had originally programmed in, hard-coded. So it basically just checks for that. That's what this load conf file does, and it just returns it, and it says, that's the root now. And now we print out the root, but then afterwards we actually just load the file. So we just load the file of the URL that is based in that root. And then we just print out that file, and so you use printf, and that'll print it out to the actual website that's being served, and this this print line will print it out to your terminal. So that's kind of an easy way to explain it, at least for this case. And here in the load file, I actually had it so it checked if it was an index, and if it was just the slash, it says, it's slash, so it's just going to be index.html. And if there is no file, I just have it generate this 404 file not found. And if it is index but there's nothing there, actually just have this empty page, kind of similar to Nginx has their Nginx landing page. And then if not, it'll actually just return the actual file basically. So we can go ahead and I added this. Let's not save it. Okay, we can go ahead and actually just run it. So it's just going to go run dot. I don't have it compiled or anything. So now right here it says starting server on 8082. Let's check my address. I don't have it memorized or anything. So go run. Okay. So now I have this browser. So the first thing, as I mentioned, I'm on Nginx. So this is the 880 port. This is their landing page. If we go to 882, here's my landing page. It says my Go web server. And so we can actually go ahead and look at those two files. One, I believe, was called hi. So it says hello. That's one we looked at. And the other one, I can't remember. Maybe it was called test.html. Yep. Okay. So as you can see, the HTML actually works. It's pretty neat. So we can go ahead and so we don't need to look at these. I have this website and then this website and here, actually, should have this memorized. Okay. Shooterground. Okay. So I have all three of these websites. They look like this. So this website, it has a lot of stuff in it. It's not really bloated, but it has more things than this website, of course. So not everything's going to be handled correctly. This website, for the most part, is going to be handled correctly, although because of the images, not everything's perfect. And then this website actually is fully in CGI. CGI is pretty easy to set up as far as I can tell. There's something called Mux. Mux is just another way of doing the serving, and you can just use the Mux to serve the CGI, basically. So it'll render everything before it sends it out. CGI using Python, so you need an even easier way to do it is just for me to run the Python and send out the output. Other than that, I also need to figure out all the environment variables and stuff that CGI does as well. But this is on port 880, so now let's go ahead and jump there. And as you can see, these are not going to look as nice. Oh, maybe, okay, that's loaded. Okay, and these are all secured. So let's just drop out of that. As I mentioned, I just didn't want to go around to set up all the SSL certificates or whatnot. So as you can see the website, obviously, I mean, it doesn't even look at all like what it did before. There's even some JavaScript stuff that it pulls from a database, and you can see it just has a bunch of undefined stuff, and a lot of the images aren't loading. But that's fine. Oh, I didn't mean to close that one. And then this one right here, I didn't even bother to figure out why it was turning out like this. But yeah, it is. The images don't load, so that's something I can figure out. Image loading stuff to make sure that works correctly. And here, maybe I had this one load incorrectly, but either way, that's fine. So I just have this log. It says, oh, this is the URL that it's looking at. This is the requested host. This drops the port, so it can just look at the config file for this, basically. And then it looks at the config file, and it says, okay, that's the root. So it just pulls this root, pulls the URL, stacks it on there, and then it sends it out, and it serves it. The stuff that isn't the configuration file, it's just going to go ahead and just use the default root. So I just reloaded that. As you can see, here's the default root right here. The browser also requests other things like the favicon and stuff, so you can actually have a favicon just in your root, and it'll just work correctly, just like anything else, basically. See, I'll have this, I'll have the code shared. I assume someone's gonna stumble upon this one day and be interested in doing it for themselves. But yeah, it is pretty simple. As I mentioned, a lot of this stuff maybe is things that could be a lot shorter, that there might be Go workarounds that I didn't even have to do everything for. And maybe this isn't the best way of doing it, but it works for the most part. You can host a simple website. I mean, of course, this is completely bare bones. You want something nicer than this. But this was pretty bare bones, but I guess the images kind of messed it up. But yeah, just something like that. Oh, I know why this isn't loading. There's no index.html, so there's nothing, because it's a CGI file. But yeah, so thanks again for watching, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to give it a like if you did, and see you guys again next time. I'll come out with videos that are similar to this. I also come out with a lot of game making videos when I have time. I've been pretty busy lately, but this is something I just wanted to show off. So thanks again for watching, and see you guys again next time again, and bye.